Good morning. Welcome to Sage Thyme. We're going to do a little break of dawn reading today. I woke up and felt that necessity more than even an urge to do a reading. We'll sage with the Sage Thyme there. I think that's enough. It's pretty smoky. We'll do a light burn there. With how big the energies are, I've spoken about it the last couple readings, that counter energy, that presence of, sorry, it's a little smoky right in my face, which is good. That presence of calming, really, that it feels very angelic, has been prevalent with me until I had a circumstance come up yesterday, kind of the evening, afternoon before, that was nothing huge, again, but it was just enough to like shift the screen. You know those, when you're driving, they don't have them anymore because all the billboards are digital, I think, for the most part now, or a lot of them are. But the old ones with those vertical slats, and they would show an image and then they'd rotate and show another image. It was one of those situations, and I guess I'll share it because it's so small, but it's so significant, and it's important to share how, when we're in this process, how relatable it is to do something that feels so correct and right, to protect your own space, your own energy, even the smallest things, which in this case it really was, again, and how that can just really take that image and turn it. And it wasn't even taking the external image. I was working really well, staying present internally and everything, but it created a, mixing metaphors now, it created a snowball effect that allowed, oh, Jupiter kitties outside the window, that allowed everything to start shifting in a heavier, darker direction, a heavier, more distorted direction. And wow, it was okay. So I'll tell you, I went to 2 days ago, I treated myself for the first time in years to a women's Korean bathhouse where you do a day pass and you sit in the pools, and it's just women, and the bath area with all the different temperatured pools and everything is everyone's naked, and it's so, that simple bit of it is so, there's no word for it, because you're raw and vulnerable, and there's every shape and size of individual, but it's a quiet, supposed to be silent place. So you're in your own process, whatever that is, and there's these other women all around you, hopefully in theirs as well, but we're all stripped naked in our beautiful raw selves as human beings, vulnerable selves. So there's that. If you've ever been to anything like that, there's that communion. And because it is meant to be a silent experience, it's a personal one. It's not about connecting with other women, but there is a feminine essence connection. And, it got pretty loud. There were a couple groups of women that came in that weren't concerned about the not even unwritten, very obvious rules of being quiet or having hushed voices. And that's fine. I was in one of the, not the steam room, but the other one, the dry heat room. Just keeping to myself, listening to it as it was getting louder and louder. And then there are other rooms where you can robe up, and they have crystals and charcoal and Himalayan salt on the walls and infrared and different temperatures in those rooms. So I was doing that, and I was, at the end of the day, I had done well in terms of just keeping to myself and allowing and being in that beautiful, blissful, angelic presence. And I guess I'm being guided to say it was more than angelic, because it was coming, at that point, it was coming from within me. I had connected and opened enough and embodied my higher self, so much so that it was really that Zen was coming through me, as well as being supported externally. And as I was resting in a loungy area, and there were a couple of women laying on couches, sleeping, taking rest, because surprisingly, it's exhausting being so deeply peaceful and moving in and out of temperature waters, and opening up that deeply to one's peace. It was a very exhausting experience for me. It was very wonderful. And so these two women were resting, sleeping, and I was reading on one of the couches in the lounge, and a gal came by on her phone, and she was one that I'd noticed was disruptive and negligent of consideration of other people's, but she was also on the phone. And of course there's little signs everywhere that say absolutely no phones and whispered voices, you know. So she goes into the bathroom, tucks on the phone some more, comes out, and I bark at her, and I say, "Hey, get off the phone." I don't even know if it qualified as bark. It might have. And she kind of snarked at me and got off the phone and went on her way. And I didn't feel a ton of ego. I felt like there needed to be this, my privacy as well as others. And I had contemplated, am I supposed to say something? Am I not supposed to say something? Am I supposed to just let it be or whatever? And so I tried it. I said, hey, no, protecting my peace, right? And I worked to keep a neutralized mindset and energy with it. And then the two gals laying around me kind of opened their eyes, and they were like, thank you, that was very appropriate. And I think I might have, and I'm being corrected, there was a temptation to feel an ego, like a righteousness, like, yeah, but I didn't. And I worked on that. But somehow, after that, when I got home that evening and went to bed, the woman's energy that I had said no to as I was sleeping got into me. Now, I know I'm very sensitive, even in the community of highly sensitives and empaths. I have an extremely sensitiveness to me. So as I went to sleep, or while I was sleeping, it got in me, and I started having these repeated thoughts. Nothing too extreme, just some basic worrisome stuff that I wouldn't have preferred to have, but I couldn't get the cycles out. And these were the thought forms and entities that were really waiting for my guard to be down. And being asleep, of course, our guard is down more than ever, even with protective measures or in prayers and so forth. But I had created that little crack, that little opening at that women's spa by telling that woman no. And there's this part of me that wants to feel not just justified, but upset at the higher realms, the requirements of the higher realms for not being able to stand up for my peace. And they just keep telling me two things in terms of our presence being in the three-dimensional world Be in it, not of it. Be of the higher realms. And with that in tandem, when you're of the higher realms, these things in the chaos can be happening around you. I'm even hearing now, even in a sense to you, although we're far more shielded and protected. But when we engage in it, and I'm hearing even in a getting involved, I don't want to say that because I don't know if it's right. The message is basically not to get so involved in any of the external, especially when embodying at that octave. There's this really weighted heaviness moving through my throat and in my chest, and I'm not sure if it's a resistance or if I'm being warned. And that's the tricky, there's these nuances. And this isn't necessarily stuff that I would want to share. I'm not ashamed by any means. It just doesn't seem like it should be that relevant and significant, but it is, which is why I have been asked to share. So, from that, just to briefly summarize, night before last and all of yesterday, I was in the torrents. Everything from health stuff to CPTSD to just being porous to all these entities that I was complete with and done. I had done well more than my soul's contract to alchemize and work with. And they were in me and around me, and it was just a mess. And so I had to simply kind of hold on and breathe all day. And it was, and into the night, it was incredibly, incredibly challenging. And more so, my mind and my heart felt so sad that I had slipped backwards, and I was entering a story of shame and having done something wrong. There it is. I can feel that sadness. And they kept telling me this, every mistake is exactly planned and coordinated. This is part of your strengthening, right? This is part of the opening to not simply understanding, but opening to and allowing and trusting the divine design of everything, including the falls, the moments of descent, the slip-ups, the mistakes, and even, of course, bigger things too. And so I can see why it's very important that I share something, again, that is very small in the scope of our human lifetime mess-ups, F-ups. So small, in fact, that there were plenty of times, and I expect that you can relate to this, where I would have thought that what I said and did and how I held myself and maintained myself and really was consciously present in that, no, I have a right to preserve my peace moment, was the right thing to do. And for me and where I'm at, and for you and where you're at, I'm expecting you're finding more and more that there is a change in the rules as we go. And also, it's always ever the same. If that makes sense, that paradox makes sense. It is always ever what it is. We simply have to learn them. And the higher we move into ascension, or the higher we ascend, which to me means the more we open and embody our whole higher self and release what is not, and transform and transmute and transform. Garbage trucks are out there banging. Transmute and transform our physical selves so that we can embody and then become our light body, the highest self. And I love that we're having this jagged interruption. This is so perfectly symbolic. And you can see and witness and experience my own process through this of reclaiming a little bit more and a little bit more as I share this with you. And I hold my intention of this, of my divot in my geometrical design, right? And then coming back up. So let's do an angel card. Oh, I just heard tarot. There's a few things that want to happen in this reading, so I'm hoping that that means really there'll be 2 shorter readings. So let's do, oh dear. Oh my goodness. All right, well there are no mistakes, right? So let's get these ones that fell to the floor. There's the other one. As well as these ones that came out to the table. Okay, I'm gonna bring my candle here. So the 8 of Cups, 8 of Wands, the Fool, and the King of Pentacles. Okay, this might be what we just spoke of, and simply reiterating it. So here the 8 of Cups is showing that deep dive again that I'm talking about as part of the design, the descent. To retrieve something. Oh, so behind her, there are all these cups tipped upside down in the ocean, floating kind of a little bit near the surface. But in her hand, she has 1 cup as she's diving into the depths of the water. So that 1 cup talks about what we are going into the depths of ourselves to retrieve within our consciousness. The water talking about consciousness that relates to emotional memories and states. And she's going deeper, so it's getting darker. Excuse my nails, I'm in the process of removing stuff. So I'm really not all beautifully put together right now. And that's all right. I'm gonna not be embarrassed. She has a little, like that, I don't forget the name of that fish that has on top of her head that little arch with the light to guide her, to give light and passage to her way. It's like a forehead lamp, and she's bringing that cup down into the depths of her consciousness, her emotional memory. And then the 8 of Wands. Here we have this person who is making a wish. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. A wish upon the seeds. Seeds that have already been cultivated. And now, like our prayers, when I do closing prayers with you guys, we release them into the universe. The little fox at her feet, at their feet, are content, and they're simply relaxing in a poise of ease and watching their person as their person releases those seeds, those intentions. So to me, that's talking about a story of when we go into those depths and we go through the rigor of it, and even it brings up memories and recyclings of shame and blame. For me, it's most often self-shame and self-blame, but I can easily, then I'll start thinking just in a flash of somebody whom is a certain characteristic that was harmful and hurtful, and maybe even intentionally so. And just that flash moment of me seeing them in my mind's eye or thinking of them, then all of a sudden their characteristics are in me. And I find myself in the process of having to do the work of them. But no longer is that the truth for me. No longer is that the truth of you. You've already done that work. And it's old hat business. It's dead and dusted. This is a thought form, an entity that's coming in and trying to keep you busy and take your energy while you attend to something that doesn't belong to you, somebody else's karma. And whether or not you are helping or supporting that other individual, number one, it's not your job. Number two, it's not relevant, because your energy and your energy is being taken from you, and your ascension is being inhibited and blocked by staying in those lower, and they're not wrong lower, they're just a different stage, a lower rung in the ladder of your ascension that you've already completed. And so that's where you'll feel that incredible wrongness of it. You're not meant to be doing that. And I got stuck personally in that wrongness of it, in taking on other people's karmas and being affected by energies and entities, trapping and imprisoning me, not because, well, in part because I didn't know, but even as I somewhat quickly over time started figuring out my own physical self, and in many ways lack of sleep and stress and illness and so forth, and trauma within the body, within the physiology, wasn't allowing me to have strength. So it was a very slow build and climb. And so something like a descent yesterday and the evening before, from such a small action that seemingly was the correct thing to do, even though it was not for me. I didn't pick up on the nuance as I went into my internal dialogue of, is this the right time for me to stand up for this, or is it not? And I can now, of course, retrospectively reflect and go, the yes that I heard that said, yeah, tell this lady to get off her phone and, dig your heels into the peace, your peace, and protecting that in the space. There was an energy that said, yeah, stand up for yourself. And it had a signature to it that was not that calm, clear opening. It had a lilt, just a little bit. And these are the nuances that was like, yeah, she needs to hear that, I can feel it. And what we're looking for when we say yes to things at these higher levels is nothing less than that very soft voice, that quiet, almost whisper of, go this way, stay here, open up now. And even though the voice and the direction is very soft, the power that supports it is incredibly strong and profound. I was being paused to share that before even knowing it, to then get into these two cards, the Fool and the King of Pentacles. And it's perfect. Being in the state of, let's get that right, of the Fool, where she is the flow of peacefulness. She is the flow of patience, presence within. That presence within that communicates with the winds and the mountains and the elementals and the animals. She is that peace flow. The Wu Wei of the river in the Tao becomes every aspect of her body and beingness. And that's what provides her with the stability of this King of Pentacles. A part of the earth, rooted into the earth, but also at his crown, connected with the actual physical aspect of the higher levels. He is secure. He is abundance. He is everything he needs and wants. He has become it. And by becoming it, it comes to him whenever his being needs or wants it. And all his needs and wants are in divine design. So he doesn't have to abide by what structure or society tells him. For he simply flows as the Fool in his beingness with what the design of his highest self, in beautiful accordance, like a gorgeous, multifaceted, multidimensional geometric shape that's an actual puzzle piece to all the other ones around it that move and shift and sway. And instead of trying to figure it out in his mind, he simply opens to it. The two that came on the ground, I like this. So this reiterates a bit of what I was saying and sharing of that experience in the spa. Too many things just came in. With the Three of Cups in reverse and the Four of Wands, it really speaks to staying within your own bubble right now. With Mercury in retrograde and Sagittarius moving into Scorpio, this is a time to really be within your own space and let yourself be guided by that Four of Wands, the elements and elementals, and like I said, the surrounding multi-dimensional geometric shapes that are matching and morphing with you and moving you as you are moving it by that intention. So continue to seek the answers to your, not just your external choices that you voice or physically move through and do in your moment-to-moment day. Continue to be in the presence of that internal universe and all the now more subtle, with Mercury retrograde, the more subtle messages that are coming through your internal being in different ways of giving cue. Okay, so let's complete with, I guess this is how we're doing it. That's cool. Let's complete with a prayer and ritual from the Angelic Lightwork cards. And I drew this before starting the video. The card is Higher Purpose. I'll put it up here so you can have a good look at it. Okay. And I'll read it through so we can enter into our bodies and ground the energy through our bodies into the earth. And really allow the messages being brought by the angelics to move into us and through us, and then ultimately releasing it, knowing that those seeds have been cultivated and the intent is pure and true, and we can release it into the universe and into the earth, knowing that it will always lovingly and blessedly conspire to bring it back to us as we intended, and or even better. Okay. Have you ever had the gift of too many options, or one too many wonderful ideas? Perhaps you need clear guidance about the meaning and purpose of your life because you sense that you have strayed into a way of living that does not honor your heart. Archangel Michael strengthens your recognition of your authentic life path and higher purpose by reconnecting you to your heart wisdom, clearing fear and encouraging you to explore and be who you are. Arising from that connection with your true inner self comes an understanding of what your heart truly wants and needs. This is the foundation of your divine destiny An important shift is taking place in your soul. Trust you will more clearly and joyfully align with your higher purpose. Healing, magic, and manifestation with Archangel Michael. Begin by placing your right hand on your heart and thinking about what you feel gratitude, happiness, or love for in your life. And then say aloud, Archangel Michael, you bring the strength, will, and protection of sacred fire to me now for the greatest good of all. Sacred fire brings the healing gifts of cleansing, freedom from the past, and renewal so I may experience a new chapter in my life. Please hold and protect the sacred space for healing to happen according to divine grace. I open my heart to you, my dear angelic friend. Please empower and bless this sacred work. So be it. Now, as you continue to hold your hand over your heart, you can visualize, imagine, intend, or pretend that a deep indigo blue light forms a sacred circle around you. This circle can be as small or as large as feels right for you. Let it sit around hip level as the light of that circle shines in all directions. It can feel good to be in that circle. It feels powerful and possible and positive. You can support this process with your words, saying, a sacred circle of divine protection now forms around me in divine indigo light. Say it again. A sacred circle of divine protection now forms around me in divine indigo light. Take a moment to repeat Archangel Michael at least several times for as long as feels good for you. You can sing, chant, whisper, or speak boldly and loudly. Whatever suits your heart in that moment, in this moment, is best. As you repeat the angelic name, you can imagine, intend, or feel that you are increasing the presence of Archangel Michael within your heart and your sacred space. Set your intention now by expressing the reason you are doing this healing. You can speak to Archangel Michael like you are speaking to a trustworthy friend. And if you aren't sure why you are doing the healing, but you know you need some help, then express that. I know I need some help. Please note, if you are doing this healing on behalf of another, ask for their permission first. If that is not practical, then say, I would like to offer this healing to, say the name, or to whoever it can do the most good. And I would add, in divine design and alignment, as they are ready and able to choose, because permission is essential. Read the guidance below to complete the process, and in your own prayers, words, or gestures as feels right for you, this is your practice and your relationship with Archangel Michael. Let it feel authentic and trust that no matter what, you are divinely loved. And here's the prayer. Beloved Archangel Michael, I don't always know where I am meant to be headed or the purpose for which I was born, but I do trust that you know and can lead me. I open my heart with unconditional trust in your goodness, your power, and your wisdom to assist me onto my authentic path of sacred fulfillment. As I fulfill my heart, I play the role I was destined to play in our collective human evolution. In the fulfillment of one heart, the fulfillment of all hearts can occur. I open myself to receive all the assistance that can benefit me and all beings. When I don't know what to do, I lean into you and trust I will understand what is required of me at the right time. Bless me with your love so that I may be patient, bold, and wise. Thank you. So be it, and so it is. Now, sense, see, feel, or intend that a beautiful supportive light is always behind you, protecting you, and simultaneously in front of you, guiding you. You can trust where that light is leading you, or step onto a different path. It is your choice always. The light is a constant. There when you wish to connect and able to help you, no matter which path you take. When you are connected to your heart, you can sense the light more easily. Feel its strength and trust that it is watching over you. If you wish, you can place both your hands over your heart and feel gratitude, wonder, excitement, and perhaps hope for the beautiful, unique path that is meant for you this lifetime. When you are ready, it is time to ground yourself. Become aware of your feet connecting to the earth. Imagine the energy around your head beginning to settle towards your heart, your belly, your legs, and then your feet. You can imagine this and more so feel it happening. Imagine that your connection between your feet and the earth is so strong that if someone tried to push you over, you wouldn't fall. You are strongly rooted to the earth, just like that King of Pentacles image. Now say, from my grateful heart, I thank you, Archangel Michael. The sacred work is now complete. May the energies generated here today bring spiritual benefit to all beings. May any excess energy be sent to where it can do the most good. I am grateful and I thank you, so be it. And now, finally visualize, imagine, or pretend that the sacred circle of light you created is dissolving into the earth now. It takes all the delicious divine energies and grounds them according to your intention and higher divine wisdom. That is the completion of that ritual and prayer. So thank you, my friends. I'm going to close this out with that. Thank you for this beautiful shared experience and individual experience for myself and for you, each one of you. Have a beautiful, beautiful day today. And go in that incredible light guiding and protecting peace, clarity, patience, wholeness. Thank you, my friends.